Monty Python. You know Monty Python, don't you? And now for something different. Well, I didn't use the word completely. No. It's not for something completely different, because it's still about your science. It's still about presenting your science. But this time it's in either poster format or oral format. And between now and lunchtime I'm going to be talking about posters, and then after lunch I'll be talking about oral presentations, those of you who are still here. Right. Evidently they're the smokers. Right, here we go. Presentation skills. I see we have got a few empty chairs, haven't we? 1, 2, 3. They're going to miss this slide. Right. You've done your research and now you want to present it to an international audience at a meeting in somewhere exotic. Somewhere, let's say, Verdnik. Extremely exotic. Well, yes, the hotel was. I have actually been to an international conference in Verdnik. It was international only because a couple of scientists in a car managed to get there from Bosnia. The rest of the international scientists, for some reason, didn't turn up. So, but it was still called an international conference. So, right. And yes, the hotel's typically Serbian. You can't shut the door because the bed's in the way. And, anyway, but first, did you know Serbian scientists are special? Well, of course you knew that Serbian scientists are special. And one aspect of making Serbian scientists special is that you don't have a lot of money for your research. That means that you don't have a lot of money normally to go to scientific meetings and conferences, especially those abroad. So because of this, it means that you need to take a different approach to an international conference compared with the majority of scientists from the rest of Europe. Because scientists, even PhD students in the UK, Germany, France, and other European countries, they've got much more opportunity of going to international scientific meetings and interacting on a regular basis 2 or 3 times a year, often, with scientists from other countries. But you don't have this opportunity. Even if you have a so-called international conference in Serbia, what tends to happen is that 98% of the participants are Serbs, maybe including a few from Bosnia and Macedonia or ex-U, and you invite 3 or 4 scientists from somewhere else in Europe, right? So this becomes your international conference in many cases, because I go to them. Whereas a PhD student in the UK, essentially every conference in the UK is an international conference. That's because there will be hundreds of international scientists from elsewhere going to the UK. So, for most Western European countries, international conferences are relatively easy to get to. But because for you this is a big challenge, it means that for you, if you want to develop your careers doing research, networking, developing collaborations is the way to go in the future. And one of the most effective ways of doing that is by going to an international conference. And that means that because you don't get to many of them, you've got to make take every advantage from the rare opportunities that you get. It may be once a year, it may be once every 2 years that you get to go to an international conference outside Serbia. So this is your one chance for you to have an impact on other scientists, for you to develop potential new collaborations. So you've got to make sure that you don't go there just to stick up my poster. One of another 100 posters. You've got to make sure that if you take a poster there, people are going to want to stop to look at your science. They're going to want to stop to talk with you, to interact with you, to give you the opportunity of developing your network of contacts. So you've got to take a rather different approach in the way that you put together your information for a poster. You've got to make sure that, because this is what most people will be doing, you present a poster. One or two of you may have an opportunity of giving a presentation, and I'll be talking about that after lunch. But I'm going to be focusing on how you present your information on a poster to make sure that you get interest. It's like the salesman's pitch for writing a scientific article. So do not waste the rare opportunity for you to network, because an international meeting is an opportunity for you to have impact on foreign stakeholders, other scientists interested in your research. Now, a poster can be an excellent way for you to have impact on your scientific stakeholders, but only if you design it to have the most impact. So I'm going to focus now on information on poster presentations. Assuming that a poster consists of the following components. Hi there, Goggy. Haven't you finished the film up yet? Assuming that you have these components on a poster: a title, a summary, background information, description of the research methods, results of the research, discussion of the findings and conclusions. What do you consider to be the most important component of a poster? Silence. Title? Yes, yes, right. Title? Results discussion, yes. Well, let's see what I've got down here. Background? Background, well, I go with the title, actually. And, well, not just the title, but actually I would go with the overall appearance of your poster first. Because normally, when you're walking around the poster boards, it's not until you get close to a poster that you actually are able to read the title. But you can see from a distance a poster format that looks, oh, that looks an interesting presentation. So you make a move to look at that poster because it has something appealing to your eyes that you want to look at. So do not regard a poster presentation as just your manuscript on a single piece of paper. It has to be a completely different concept, a different approach. because you're trying to get your message across in a different way to different people. And it's an opportunity for you to make face-to-face contact with people that you need to know for your careers to develop. So, title and overall appearance has got to be eye-catching to make the passerby stop to read it. If no one stops to read your poster, you are effectively invisible. And if you are invisible, how big is your impact? Your impact is 0, right? So your target is to make people stop to look at your poster. Once they've stopped to look at it, if they find it's not their subject area, well, okay, you can forgive them. And they will move on. I mean, this happened to me once. I was at a meeting in Glasgow, in Scotland, in about 2007, I think it was. It's now about 7 years ago. And I was just walking around. I was a bit bored. I hadn't got anyone to talk to, so I was walking around the posters and just having a look. And there was one poster that made me stop to read it. And I found myself reading about some area of science that I had no interest in whatsoever. But it was just the way the poster was presented that it made me stop and look at it. And it was a poster about the design of horseshoes for racehorses. You see, I've got no interest in horses at all. But it was just the way that this poster was there in front of my face. It just made me want to read, to find out what it was about. So there are these opportunities for you to make an attractive presentation that just makes somebody want to have a look, to see what is there. So that's what I'm going to try to persuade you to learn how to work with.
I heard recently at some conferences you have to present your post 5 minutes time as well.
Yes.
Advertising.
Yes.
So maybe it's a change in the presentation for posting nowadays.
Yes, I certainly have been at conferences myself where the poster presenters are supposed to have a 5-minute session. It's never 5 minutes, it always overruns. The chairman has a dreadful job because nobody wants to ask any questions. I think the Federation of the European Society of Plant Physiologists used to do that, but I haven't been to their meetings for about 12 years. So. But yes, you are right. If that happens, then I suppose it's an opportunity for you to present yourself to the audience as a whole. But that also means that if you have 5 minutes, there's not a lot you can talk about in 5 minutes. So don't try to describe the entire research program as if you are summarizing a scientific manuscript. You've just got to go for, this is why we did it, these are the key results that we got, and this is the interpretation. And that's essentially all that you can say.
Not everybody comes to the presentation. It feels like the eye-catching part to unfold during the
yes.
parts of the day.
Yeah.
So it's still there.
I don't know how frequently conferences are organized for that opportunity. Very often conferences have parallel sessions. It's just because of the weight of information and people wanting to present. So it certainly in my area of interest, I haven't very often seen poster presentations because there are just too many people there. And to have 150 posters presented times 5 minutes, so yes, if it's a workshop or a regional one, yes, it makes it more realistic. Okay, so I also think that the conclusion is also very important. So I'm going to give you some poster examples now. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to tell you this is what you need to do. Because everybody will have their own points of view of what they like. We all have our own styles. So what I'm going to focus on for the next few slides until it's time for our lunch is showing you a range of different poster styles. I'm going to get you to comment on them, and then I shall give you my feedback. There will be some good points and some bad points. And then I will try to summarize what we believe to be the good points of posters, and then it's up to you to take those good points that you feel you can work with for you to use in your presentations. And then to finish off, I've got examples from my PhD students where they were given the same information, the same data set, and they all prepared posters in groups. So we've got about 10 different poster presentations, all describing the same research. So you can see the range of different styles and approaches that they have used. And some of them I found very effective. Others are more traditional and didn't have as much impact on me. So it will give you an opportunity to identify which of the posters that you like, that you believe are going to have impact.